Is it fair to say that Barcelona have been maybe the best team in Europe so far this season? They've definitely been, I think, the most entertaining. I think attacking wise, as the title suggests, they are the best within Europe in this opening 4 or 5 games of the season. And Sunday was no different. A good 4-1 win away at Girona, who I'm not going to say the bubble has burst because I don't think anyone expected or anticipated them having quite the season they had last season again this time around. But there was always going to be a natural bit of a humph, especially before the Champions League campaign starts. This week when they play PSG, it'll be a different kettle of fish. Now, I don't know what the general thought of Girona fans is. I'm not a Girona fan, but first of all, by the way, can we speak about how lovely the view is from inside that stadium? It's an absolute gorgeous location. Some of the views you get from the camera angles is unreal. A bit of a tangent there. But if they got top 10, I'd consider that a good season. They've lost a lot of their key players. There was naturally going to be a drop off, but a 4-1 win against is this a local rivalry? I don't even know, but I'm going to say local rivals Barcelona. Hansi Flick is really making the most of this team and the quality of this team in an attacking sense. And defensively, as much as I was critical of him in the first couple of games of the season, there's improvements. And I'm going to go over that first. I'm going to go over the Girona attacking shape and the Barca defensive shape. Now, it's important to know that Hansi Flick's pressing strategy requires a lot of on-the-spot problem solving from his players. And I assume there's obviously talks pre-game, especially when it's concerning the opposition, what phases they could look to move into and where players typically inhabit. So there's, I'm sure, half an idea and a few conversations that happen pre-game, but it relies on the, as I say, the in-game management of players, the problem solving on the spot, to move between markers, to move between the threats, and there's a few examples I'll show from this Girona build-up phase where Barca had to adapt and had to react to certain phases. So the front four would press very high, as you can see here. The first pass would decide the first jump and where certain players would go. So you'd get Olmo in between the two pivots. Miguel Gutierrez inverts from left back to take up this inverted role. It's so split and so deep from Girona with Dali Blind and Lopez. Very split. Francis moving up into a sort of more orthodox right back position. And typically it would be the first pass to Lopez and the first pass would go back to Gazaniga, who would play a part in this original build-up phase. This would cause the press for Lewandowski to come onto Gazaniga. Rafinha would move from out wide onto Lopez. Dani Olmo would stick on Solis. Yamal would come across to Blind, and Blind was the main player to get on the ball in these original build-up phases for reasons we'll discuss in a second. And then this is where the sort of on-the-spot problem-solving of the Barcelona players would come into play. First off, as Koundé had license to come up and press Gutierrez here, get right up against him because that was always going to be a free pass. Casado was more tasked with looking after Sagankov, and Pedri was after Ivan Martin, who would play higher up in certain phases. So they were staying back, giving that defence a little bit more protection. And as a result, if Koundé went over to press Gutierrez, this gave a bit more license for Kabasi to come across to Danjuma. He wouldn't come across fully. We'd wait and see how the move played out. He didn't want to leave Inigo Martinez in too much space because he isn't the most mobile. So if he has more space to cover, then that could be a bit of a killer for Barcelona. So he'd managed the distance really well. And I have to say, Pau Kabasi is fantastic. If you don't watch Barcelona regularly, this is a player that makes defending look pretty fun. Technically, physically, tenacity. He's got a lot of qualities to his game at such a young age. He's going to be a star without a doubt. So Koundé coming up into this area would prevent this pass from being opened up. And it caused an issue within the first couple of minutes as Gazaniga played a ball to Blind. Yamal got close to him and pressed him high. He didn't have the easy out ball with Koundé coming up into Gutierrez, and Yamal won the ball back and almost caused an opportunity that Barcelona could score from. But to be fair, Girona would adapt. They'd be pretty fluid within their movement to try and break out of this Barcelona shape. So sometimes you'd get Gutierrez coming in deep here. You'd sometimes get him pushed up quite high, which allowed Solis to come in a little bit more this way. Martin coming into the deeper build-up areas with Sagankov moving across and still retaining that sort of box shape, but just the rotation and players capable of playing more than one role. Where this then allowed Koundé to come a little bit deeper into this position. It allowed him to cover the space in between Danjuma and Gutierrez a little bit more, pulling off into areas in a more orthodox left-back position, causing Koundé to come up. And again, just testing the resolve of Koundé, but you'd find him in arranged positions up here. It gave Danjuma more license to move inside if he came wider. And in those moments, if Blind could get free, or maybe if Lopez could get free and they could hit that long diagonal to Danjuma on this left-hand side, Kabasi could come across and cover and defend that area well, which he did a couple of times. Or the great recovery pace of Koundé, who would find himself further up the pitch if he'd gone to Marc Gutierrez, in getting back and defending Danjuma one-on-one was excellent. brilliant with that recovery pace, Kunde, and such a fantastic quality to have in a high pressing team. And Gutierrez and Danjuma provided threats on that left-hand side with the movement of Danjuma maybe coming inside, dragging Kunde in centrally, that then allowed Gutierrez to attack the left flank that Yamal couldn't really catch up with because he was forced high marking Blind. And Gutierrez is an effective attacking player, great with his crossing ability, whether out wide or in central zones, is so effective. So Girona weren't able to make the most out of those crossing opportunities, and Barcelona shut them down well, but those are always a threat. Also, the work of Casado I thought was excellent. This is a player, I mean, again, like Kabasi, that Barca just keep creating some talented players. That young lad that started the season off in holding mid, I forget his name, and apologies because it's a bit disrespectful, got injured and he's out for the year, and that looked like a bit of an issue, but Casado's come in and looked excellent. And I feel like his management of, when space opens up and the angles he's got to protect against is so key. And as I say, that on the spot problem solving I was talking about for a player so young, where he'll maybe start on this player here. He'll come across to Gutierrez if that pass looks open from this side. If it's not, and Girona have to play inside and maybe move out to the right. And let's say Martin comes in a little bit deeper, finds an angle around Pedri to open up for the pass. Casado will move from Gutierrez and just block that pass, forcing him to go towards Francis or an easier option out wide or backwards that then Rafinha could cover around, that the whole team could regain a bit of structure and move a little bit further down. Was excellent, and full credit to him. That's a lot of maturity for such a young player. And also, as the game wore on and Kunde was getting caught in between Gutierrez and Danjuma, you'd also get Olmo dropping in a little bit deeper as the press started warning off, as the Barca legs were getting a little bit more tired. Lewandowski dropping in a little bit more in Solis, allowing Olmo to protect this area a little bit more. So again, on the spot problem solving. I've said it a few times already, but they were very adaptable and a great use of the intelligence of this team. If Ruiz tried to drop in and get on the ball, then Martinez would come and press him and aggressively hit him high to try and prevent him from getting on the turn and creating opportunities, because he would come in a little bit deeper to use the pace of Danjuma and Brian Hill out wide. And a lot of the reason as to why Girona would play towards Dali Blind and play towards his left-hand side is they try and open up the space on the right-hand side that they could play to. So let's just say Yamal coming in here, Olmo pressing up maybe, Kunde coming up here. If that pass wasn't on to go left and they'd force the team out towards them on this side and they had a bit of space to play the ball over, Blind and Lopez are technically very two good centre-backs. They could fire this pass all the way up into this area here, with Ivan Martin coming off of Pedri to get on the ball and create, maybe to Francis, who had a lot more room to take the ball forward, or a seriously long switch over to Brian Hill, who could attack the right flank against Balde. But again, on the spot problem solving from this Barcelona team. They would react well. Rafinha coming in, maybe Balde coming across, allowing Martinez to switch over and protect this area. Casado shielding any space that would open up between Kabasi and Martinez through these movements. So adaptable, so reactive, and just so very well balanced with their pressing phase, Barcelona. And a lot of credit to the team and a lot of credit to Hansi Flick. And as a result, Girona struggled to play out a number of times. But that's how Barca defended. How did they attack, and how did they earn what I've given them as the moniker as the best attacking team in the world right now? Barca would play out from the back, as we know they're one to do. And I will say, I thought Girona's shape off the ball, not necessarily their shape, but I thought the press and just the general defensive attitude from their team was really poor. Really, really poor. Not to be too critical, because when you keep in mind the opposition they're against, it was always going to be difficult. But you don't need to make it that easy for them. Don't need to make it as easy. And there was a number of ways that they really struggled against Barca, but we'll go over it as we sort of move up the third. So Barca would originally start out as the 2-4-4 that would very quickly turn into a sort of 3-2-5 or 2-3-5 as Balde moved up into this area to provide the width on the left-hand side. And Rafinha, to be fair, was always central. He didn't move centrally to allow Balde to make an overlapping run. He was just kind of always there, waiting for the ball inside. And also, I think Rafinha this season has been maybe one of the best players in the world. Obviously, 4 or 5 games in, so it's so far. So keep that in context. But he's been exceptional. His ability to control and lay the ball off in tight spaces, his movement in behind, his threat levels are unreal. It would turn into this shape, and you'd get Ruiz sort of in between the two centre-backs trying to press the player on the ball. Sagankov would start on Casado. You get Ivan Martin pulling up into Pedri here. Brian Hill who was tasked with marking Bolday, and we're going to go into in a second, but really struggled with it. So, which meant Solis would drop into Olmo, Francis would come in a little bit narrower to look after Rafinha, Danjuma up into Kunde again, whose positioning was unpredictable. And this was the first issue I had with this Girona team, is it was so easily spread about and twisted and manipulated by the Barcelona shape and the attacking numbers and quality in the midfield. And Barcelona are a fantastic team under pressure. When they're pressed, their technical quality and press resistance to play through it is excellent. They would try and counteract this by really trying to press high. Let's say if the ball came out to Martinez, then Sigankov would move up to try and press him, which would force Solis higher up here. Maybe Francis coming into Rafinha. Let's say Gil getting pushed at Bolde. And so as you can see now, that this creates a massive gap in between the midfield and defence, and Olmo was left free a number of times. Now, to be fair, there were times where Girona did get their press right and the ball couldn't come to him, but a quick few passes and that ball can come to Olmo, and he can then create from this position. And he's got the movement of Yamal on that right hand side, who against Gutierrez you favour Yamal. So there was so much space given away in the middle of the park, which for a team that were pretty vertically compact, as Girona were, it's quite hard to do. And it wasn't just the way they got pulled out of position. It's that even when they were in position, this Girona team I thought were really poor. Like some of the marking work done from certain players, I thought was really dreadful. So let's just say Casado receiving the ball here in between Ruiz and Sagankov. It felt easy at points to go in between, and Rafinha could pull off of Martins, Olmo could pull off Solis, and they just weren't doing their defensive jobs well enough. And to be fair, again, the presence of Pedri may cause Martin to get caught in between players. And there were points where Pedri's movement would drag Martin inwards that could create a little bit more space for Rafinha to receive it in that little pocket in the left half space. And also, when Barca would move up into their main attacking shape, it caused even more issues for Girona. And that would be with Olmo coming in a bit more centrally and behind Lewandowski, but he was given a bit of a free roll, Olmo. He had a bit more freedom and license to roam and receive the ball where he wanted to. Yamal would either come inside or stay out wide, and wherever he would come to, Kunde would fill the opposite role. So whether Kunde overlapped or underlapped was entirely dependent on Yamal's positioning. They're comfortable doing either way, and they've got a really good synergy going on that right hand side so far, Kunde and Yamal, and it's been really good to watch. And Barca would attack with their sort of 3-1-6 or 2-2-6. Pedri and Casado dropping into the defence with one operating between the lines. And it was just easy to play through that midfield four who were stretched by the fullbacks and weren't responsible enough to deal with the players in between the lines. And Sagankov and Ruiz didn't press well enough in those deeper areas or get back into position to help out. So at points it felt like Casado or even Pedri on the ball had players that he could play to, options to play through the thirds and progress through the lines. Lewandowski could even come deeper and make himself available as an option, but Lopez did come and press him well and engage with him well in these more advanced areas. So that was one thing that Girona did right. Another thing they struggled with, especially first half, was Rafinha's positioning here. And the reason for that is Brian Hill did such a poor job of managing Bolde in that first half. Dreadfully unaware of his positioning every time, which is mental because I feel like everyone by now should know Alejandro Bolde's game. And as a result, it left this guy, Francis, in between coming inside to Rafinha, which would have been his designated marker, and staying out wide with Bolde. And there were points where Rafinha used that to his advantage, either making a movement in behind to drag Francis inwards that created this first time ball into Bolde here, or dropping in a little bit deeper to produce a lovely little first time pass round the corner for Bolde to get on the end of, and he could create a crossing opportunity from that. Bolde's crossing at points wasn't amazing, and he did let himself down a little bit in that regard with the delivery, but the interplay and the quality of the link up between Rafinha and Bolde carved Girona open time and time again. But it does come from Brian Hill not doing his role well enough and protecting that area of the pitch, and Bolde was running off of him for fun. And I say a lack of press from those front two players made it easy for Barca to play through the thirds. And also in the second half, I think Barca got their 2 goals from using that aforementioned Lewandowski dropping in, bringing the centre back with him to their advantage, with Lewandowski just coming in a little bit deeper, which invited the movement of, for the first goal, Olmo making the run into this area that he'd vacated. But very selfless work from Lewandowski. He obviously gets praised a lot for his goal scoring, which he is a phenomenal goal scorer. But he did a lot of selfless work creating space for others to move into. And to say the movement of Olmo, the movement of Pedri to run in off the back with the midfield not doing their jobs well enough in tracking the runs from these players and protecting the passes into them made it a lot easier. And Olmo and Pedri ran in behind, got the ball, and finished off brilliantly. There was a few points where it felt like just a lack of organisation and a lack of communication between Girona's defence and midfield made it a lot easier for Barca. Martin and Solis would drop off and manage the central overloads that Barca would commit to. And Lewandowski would drop in, and maybe it wouldn't even just be Lewandowski dropping in, it would be Blind or Lopez reacting to the ball going into one of these players. And it created these weird little crisscross moments where the midfielders got dragged deep and the centre-backs ended up pressing past the midfielders to try and react to these players. And Barca didn't actually punish it as much as they could because it happened a few times, and I guess maybe just the confusion of what happened caused that to affect Barcelona, so they couldn't react in time to get on the ball and create a shot from it. But it just screamed of a lack of organisation from Girona. But yeah, this Barca team, I've watched them about 3 or 4 times, and each time, attacking wise, they've wowed me. So it's going to be interesting to see how they compete in Europe and La Liga this season. 5 wins out of 5. They're top of the league already by 4 points. Can they sustain it? Who knows? Madrid have built quite an elite team. It's going to be hard for them to compete with over a 38-game season. But they've got a manager that's a proven winner and a proven winner across multiple competitions in the same season. So they've got a lot of tools to be able to cope with that. Defensively, I still worry about them a little. But again, who knows what can happen? It's a long season, and this team is full of surprises already. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Cheers for watching. Like it if you like the video, dislike it if you disliked it. Comment down below and tell me why. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.